Hey guys, today I got another little project here. I'm taking one of the electrical boxes off one of the smaller machines. You're going to find these on the, mainly on the Matrix machines, but some of the Ranger Chandelles, Ranger machines, some of the Eagle, stuff like that. But these are the machines that have a 5-pin relay in it. There's no Albright in these. I already got a video on that. So I'm just going to take you through this step by step and we'll just troubleshoot this whole thing. So let me get this moved around and we'll get in there. Alright guys, what I've done here is I've taken the whole electrical box and I've just spread it out on the board so you can see what's going on. It's impossible to film this if this is all built into that small little box. Plus it gives you a better idea what's going on. So anyway, the way I get started on these, normally what you can do is you can have a situation where the machine won't turn on. So what I'll do first is, I've got my arm disarm switch right here. If I arm it, I'm using a light right here instead of a motor so you can actually see what's going on. If I had a motor sitting there, you wouldn't really be able to tell if it turned on or not. Turn the machine off, light will go off. If I hit disarm, it should come on again. Motor should be on, machine should be turning, okay? So the first thing I'll do is, this is a high failure item right here. And what happens mostly to these is they get wet, they get laid on the ground, fill up with water, or the boot will crack and water will get into the switch and that'll make the switch fail. So if you guys can keep your switches dry, keep your boots. You can buy these boots separately, by the way, too. You don't need to buy the whole switch. So that'll save you from having to change the switches all the time. But anyway, the first thing I'll do is I like to start at both ends of a machine. I'll start here and then I'll go over to the motor, and this way I don't have to take the electrical box apart to see what's going inside yet. I really don't need to know that yet. So first thing I'll do is just take a screwdriver, lay it across these two terminals right here, doesn't matter which one. One side's going to arm, one side's going to disarm. If I could do this on both sides, and the machine turns on, I've got a bad switch. Just change the switch and you're out of there, okay? So let's just assume this is not the case. I'm just going to put this back and just let it sit here, okay? Really just the reason we're here is to troubleshoot the 5-pin anyway, so. What I'll do now is, I've got my meter, I use jumper leads, I've got it clipped to ground. You can use a ground, you've got a ground bolt here, and this is your power bolt here. This is where your 12 volts come in, this one's your ground. So I just clip either the ground or I'll clip onto the battery. That gives me a free hand in case I need to test something, operate the switch at the same time. I would need 3 hands to do that if I had a meter lead in each hand. So I highly recommend that you get some jumper leads. Alligator clips on the ends. So I can't work without them. So next thing I'll do is I'm going to test the battery real quick. Let's see, 1227, 1228, okay, whatever. What I'm looking for, when I come to the bolt that the power comes in on, I'm looking for the same as battery voltage. Okay, 1228, same thing. If I don't have that, if I've got 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, whatever, come back, you've got a bad lead coming into the box, or you've got a bad connection on the battery, or you got a bad battery. But I'm assuming, for this video that you have a good battery, good connections, all that good stuff. So all your power will come in right to here. What I'll do next is check my fuses right here. I don't have to bust an ohmmeter out right now. What I'll do is, you've got these two little nubs on here. I'll grab this one here, 1228. If I go to this side, same thing. So I know my fuse is good. If I don't have it on one side, if I have it on one side, not the other, you've got a blown fuse, go ahead and change it, and then you got to figure out why. If the 5 amp is blown on these machines, you've got either a bad coil on the relay, your radio plugs into the 4-pin Hirschman right here, so you've got either that. It could be a bad radio. Maybe the lawn guy's got a hold of the wires with a weed trimmer or lawnmower or whatever, shorted some wires together, blew the fuse. Some machines will have a diode between these two pins right here. Not all of them do. Most of the newer machines have them now. But if you have a diode on here, it could be a bad diode. So what I would do in that case is I would disconnect your radio. You can ohm the coil on here. It should be about 100 ohms. If it's down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 ohms, go ahead and change it. That's blowing the fuse. Also, next, if you've got a 40 amp fuse right here, you could do the same thing. Put you on one nub. There's your battery voltage. Come on this side, same thing. You've got a good fuse. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is going to run into the relay and just show you how the voltages work on the relay. Obviously you've got a 5 amp fuse power feed. This is a power feed to your energizing coil. This is always going to be battery voltage. So get the meter on there. You've got battery voltage. This is never going to change. If you don't have it, come back and figure out why. You're only going from here to here. If you have battery voltage here and you don't have it here, it's just going to be right here. Same with here. You can have your same battery voltage right here. This is always going to stay that way. Never going to change. Right now, this is pin 30 going to your motor, which I have a light in here right now anyway. Right now you can have nothing on here until I turn this on. Once I turn it on, now you've got your battery voltage going to your motor, turns your motor on, turns the machine on. So the only time you're going to have anything here is when the machine is actually on. Something should be happening. If you have battery voltage right here and the machine is not turning on, you're going to go to the motor lead, your positive to the motor lead, and see if you have voltage there. If you do have voltage there, you've got probably the brush is stuck on the motor. The motors on these machines are very easy to repair. It's usually just a matter of popping the brushes out, cleaning the holders out. I sand the brushes down a little bit, make them slide in and out there a little better. What probably happened is it probably got wet and the brush is stuck in it. But I can fix 95 out of 100 motors, so don't ever throw them out. Always take them apart. Promatic sells the brushes, so it's nothing you have to worry about. It's a very cheap fix, but those motors are extremely easy to work on. So the next thing I'll do now, we've already eliminated the switch. We know how to test that. Going back to this right now, but you're also going to have 12 volts right here. Now the single brown wire is the one that comes off of here. It comes off your arm disarm switch. This is going to be 12 volts when the machine is only turned off. If I turn the machine on, it's going to go away and drop down to basically 0. This is the switching side. The coil cannot turn on until one side is high, which is battery voltage, which this is always going to be battery voltage. When I turn the switch on, that's going to drop to 0, and now your coil can turn on. If it's got battery voltage on both sides, it'll never turn on. If I hit the roller switch, that's going to switch it off again. You can see the meter's back to battery voltage again, and the light's off, which means the machine's turned off. Back on again, back off again. Off, on. Okay, same thing. These are your two switches that are going to switch this side right here. So if this side is not switching, we've already looked at this. So you either have a bad switch or you don't. You already figured that out by jumping it with your screwdriver. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the roller switch. So now I'm just going to take my meter lead, pop it off the ground right here because I need to do it. I'm going to ohm check it. Turn this over onto ohms. Okay. Now I could take this roller switch off the machine, take the cover off, put a meter on there and check the leads, but why should I do that when I can check it right here at the 4-pin Hirschman? Now this is on the side of the box where your radio plugs into or your pull cord plugs into. Roller switch comes right to pins 2 and 3 on here. Okay. So what I'll do now is I'll look. You probably can't see this on the camera, but there's a little notch right here, and normally it's on the it's on a 12 o'clock position on the machine. Sometimes they're putting it upside down, so just be aware of where it is. But look for the notch, and it's going to be the 2 pins opposite the notch on the bottom, pins 2 and pins 3. So I'm just going to put both meter leads in here. You can see it's wide open right now. I'm going to turn the switch on. Shuts it off. On. Off. Just on and off. So that tells me my roller switch is okay. So I've already eliminated the arm disarm switch. Now we know if this is good or bad. So I'm going to come back off of here. I'm going to clip my negative back to ground here. So now I'm just gonna, if nothing works, I've either got a bad motor or I've got a bad relay. Okay. And what I could do now is, now let me just go through this one thing real quick. I don't want you guys using test lights on these machines because, for one, it doesn't really tell you much. If the light comes on, you can't tell how much voltage you have. If I've got 11 volts right here instead of my full battery voltage, this light's not going to tell me that. Light's going to come on, I can't tell how much voltage I have here. So I may have a problem. The machine's not going to work on 11 volts, but my light comes on, and I think I'm good. Okay. If I'm poking around on the 5-pin with my test light, great, I've got power here. Yep, should have power there. If I come around to this side, I do have power here. But watch what happens when I come over with a test light. Now, a meter has internal resistance, so this is not going to happen with a meter, but a test light does not have that. It's basically it's just as same as using a jumper wire. So if I come around here with my little test light, I just turn the motor on. I forced it on, okay? Now, if I'm in a position, not in a good position, sitting by the machine's going to come on. If I've got my hands in there somewhere, nothing good's going to happen. So I've just forced the machine on using a test light when I did not expect that machine to turn on. So good chance of getting hurt right here. So do not use these, okay? So I'm just going to take this off of here. What I'll do is I'm just going to use a regular jumper lead. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clip this to ground. I can clip this to ground or I can clip it to battery negative, doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is come to this pin right here on the relay, okay? And I'm just going to short this to ground. Basically it's the same thing I do with the test light, but you don't want to use a test light to do this with. I just forced this on, so I've just taken this 12 volts and just put it to ground. That turned the machine on. So if I could do this, I know the relay is good. Machine turns on and off, so I know I've got a good relay. If that doesn't happen, then it's time to change the relay out. Just put one in. You can buy one at any auto parts store. You guys might have some at the club or whatever. They're fairly cheap. And that's really about it, guys. So we'll see you next time.